boy Speedy46 comes with another video. We, in this video, are going to be doing a maintenance item that I need to do on the GTR. We are going to be replacing the valve cover gaskets on the GTR because I do believe that's why it is leaking oil, and I have seen a lot of visual oil on the valve cover gasket on the passenger side. So we're going to go ahead and just knock out both of them today. So I'm actually in the Q60 right now. We are heading there right now. We're going to get it going and knock it out. So let's get into it. Let's get right into it. All right, after playing with the lift for like 30 minutes, one thing that's very weird about the GTR is the jack points are very narrow, very narrow. So like, I was trying to lift it up regular and I'm like, what the heck? Like the jack points are, I'm gonna show you when I lift the car up. So I had to do some different type of stuff to make sure it was lined up perfectly. Basically, I used one of these right here to get the jack point right there. But yeah. It was kind of a pain in the ass to do. But yeah, but we got it. We're gonna lift it up right now. Man, let me show you guys this. So look in here, dude. Oh my goodness. So two things, it's either the valve cover gasket, which I know it is from the top, and then also I think the oil drain line is leaking as well. So this drains to like the front of the car, it goes to the oil cooler and all that stuff. So probably got to replace the gasket or something in there and clean all this up. But it's leaking pretty bad. All right, so I already cleaned up all the oil. I'm gonna clean this up later, but we're gonna actually tackle the valve cover gasket right now. So I'm gonna get started because you have to let the silicone sit overnight, which at least I'm going to. So let's go ahead and get started on this right now. All right, so now that I got the intake manifold off, now you can kind of see why we need to replace the valve cover gaskets. Look at that. Look at that. So this literally has been leaking onto the cats and the turbos, and you could smell it, like legit. So that's why we have to replace this. So we're about to get going, move all of these harnesses and stuff so we can get access to the valve cover. And I'm actually doing this just so I have it for my record, so you know exactly how everything goes later on. So you just want to make sure you plug everything in properly, like how it's supposed to be when you take everything off. So. All right, so we got all the bolts out. It should be 11 total on the valve cover gasket, holding everything in. Okay. So as you can tell, this is why I needed to replace mine. It was leaking the most down here. So I'm gonna clean the valve right now with everything in there, or on. That way, you know, nothing falls into the actual motor where the valves are. And then also, I'm gonna take my spark plugs up. I'm not too sure if you have to on the GTR. I know on the VQs, you do not have to take out the spark plugs because there's an actual gasket. But these valve covers are a little bit different because these actually go all the way down. So I'm pretty sure I need to take the spark plugs out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So, but yeah. And also make sure you take off this vacuum line too, and you do it as well. And you pull the whole valve cover off. And there you have it. The passenger side valve cover is out. And as you can tell, look at this. The gasket wasn't even on properly in there. This is where it was leaking from. So we are all set. All right, and just like I suspected, it's just like the VQs. You're gonna wanna go ahead and just clean off the, the edges. And you see where the silicone's at? Right there, okay? On each corner, there's gonna be silicone in there. So right there, right there, okay? And right there. You're gonna wanna scrape all that off because we're gonna have to reseal it when we put the valve cover back on with the new gasket. We're gonna use the right stuff as gasket maker to put it in those corners. So clean those off. You can use a flathead screwdriver like what I'm about to do to clean it off, and just clean off all the gunk and everything. We should be good to go. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take off the old valve cover gaskets, clean it off, and I'm gonna put a little bit of silicone on the edges, and we'll put it back together and put it back on the GTR. Reading the tabs right there, so JF00A, and the tab on there right there is the same thing, so focus, JF00A. Gonna be using this right here, the right stuff, and what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and put silicone just on the edges. This is not necessary, you don't have to do that, but I'm doing it because it's gonna help the gasket stay in place. When we put it back on the car, it won't move. So this is just gonna ensure that it does not move. And now we're gonna apply the same exact stuff in the corners of the motor where the gasket's gonna sit. So I have it in the corner. I'm gonna spread it around just to make sure it's, everywhere. All right, in the corners basically. That's where you're gonna put it. And then you're gonna go ahead and put the valve gasket back on. And make sure you clean off everything. So I got everything super clean on the face of where the valve cover meets the head. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the valve cover back in now. And all you do is just slip it right back in. It should just fall into place. Just make sure the gasket is nice and good in the channels where it's supposed to be. All right, now just go ahead and reapply all the bolts that came out, which is all these right here. Just reapply it. And then there's a certain pattern of how you're gonna torque down the specs. Basically what you're gonna do is start, I'll show you guys a diagram so you guys can see how to torque it down. All right, so we're doing the driver's side. We already knocked out the passenger side. Everything's put back together. I'm not gonna really film this because I'm getting tired and I wanna knock this out. But it's basically the same thing. And I would just say make sure you film before you take everything off. Just get a detailed video of everything, of how it looks before you take everything off. Because once you take everything off, obviously you're not gonna kind of remember. I mean, you could remember, but it's just always good to have proof. And also, you do not have to take out the spark plugs. You can leave the spark plugs in there. You can just take off the coil packs. All right, guys, so I just want to show you guys, I said I was gonna record it, but this screw back here, the way I was able to do it, it was really hard, okay? This is very similar to the VQ, so, okay? I was able to do it by using a smaller, all right, wrench, or a socket wrench, all right? So this was a lot smaller, and I was able to fit it right past the coolant line. Try using a super small socket to get behind all that, to get that screw out, or to get that bolt out. But now, I already loosened everything else. Everything is pretty straightforward. Just pull everything off, and you should be good to go and do exactly what you did over there.
the next day.
Got my Q60 right here, GTR, and I actually need to go ahead and put my my ats on the GTR. So you know, gonna go ahead and do that. But all right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up on the video. It definitely helps out the channel, and I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers and everyone that's been here since day one. Still can't believe we got the dream car, man. We finally got the GTR now. So make sure you guys turn on those notifications whenever I post. You guys see when I post, because I got so much more content coming for the GTR. And I'm just so excited, man. But that's gonna do it for this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.